Oops. Ladies and gentlemen, all the ships at sea. Welcome to this week's live stream. And this week, of course, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the real estate market, and of course, what's ahead and what's happening with prices. Because I'm going to have a little mea culpa here. I keep saying about how strong the market is. Well, for some odd reason, about a week or two ago, the market hit a wall that no one expected. So there we were doing completely fine, and bam, a wall got hit. So let's start off with welcome everyone. And I know this is a holiday weekend, Memorial Day, the official start of the summer. For those who may be watching or watching in a replay, I'm going to try to make tonight a little bit shorter because it is a holiday. And I don't expect too many people to be around to look at some of these things, but I wanted to make sure that I got this information out to you. So let's go ahead and start with one of the most obvious things. Let's see what's going on with interest rates. If you've been following, you notice interest rates were going up, but we have actually had a really nice retreat on interest rates. So we'll see what this ends up doing because interest rates were expected to continue to climb and they may just do that. This may be a reprieve purely for reasons that we're going to discuss tonight. And one of them is mortgage origination is way down. Those of you who may have been following some of the things in the news, a lot of major mortgage lenders have actually started laying off their people. One in particular has laid off half the people who work for them. So, of course, that means they see something in the future. Now, a lot of this is, of course, because of these interest rates. With interest rates this high, even though they have retreated, things aren't so great. What I really feel sorry for the people who locked in 6% interest rates now that they've actually started coming back down. So this has caused a slight little wall to be hit. So let's just go ahead and do what we normally do. Let's start looking at the numbers. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And let's see what happened. Uh, Over the last 7 days, we've had 1,197 homes come on market, which is still climbing. Back on market, 249. Price decreases of 650. Price increases of 7. I'm sorry, 117. Never understand that. Under contract, 293 and 765 respectively. Sold 909. So if you notice, that is yeah, 300 almost less than the ones that came on the market. And if you've been watching for any kind of time, you notice that every month we've had more sales than we've had have, new houses come on the market. Now it is flipped. This is part of that wall. And a lot of it has to do with multiple factors. One, the price of homes. A lot of people can't afford it. That interest rate, like we've talked about in the past, a house that if you had purchased a house back in January and you purchase that same house now, not including the increase in prices, you'd be paying almost $500 more per month. You take into account the price increase, that same house now costs you $800 more per month, purely because of what's gone on in the market. Let's be honest. A lot of people do not have $800 extra to spare. This is going to create an issue in the market. Uh, about a month ago, I listed a house and it did not sell immediately like all the others. And when we lowered the price to where it should be, I'm not going to lie, we started the price out too high. That's what the seller wanted. The belief that some people have that they can always come down or they need to price above because someone's going to give them a lowball offer. That is very old thinking. Well, it actually took about 9 days to sell the house, which is actually unusual in this market. And I'll be honest, they got punished. If they had listed that house the way it should have been in the beginning, they probably would have gotten over the list price. So they actually lost money because they didn't go for what the current market is. And we're going to see this more and more. More price reductions happened nationwide in the last week than in the history of real estate. I want to let that sink in. More price reductions happened over the last week than in the history of real estate. Now, this is actually down from the price reductions. Uh, well, this is on par with price reductions, but look at this 50%, more than 50%. This is what, uh, 55, 60% of all houses had a price reduction last week. That's a lot. The most I've seen is maybe a third. This is happening because everyone has realized that the wall has been hit. Now, I'm not going to engage in rental porn. You have these people who want to engage in rental porn and say the housing market's about to crash because there's a whole bunch of people who want it to crash. Well, uh, I think the price is going to go a bit sideways. So those of you who are putting your houses on the market and hope to get a whole bunch more money for it and get these multiple offers, a wall was been hit. When your neighbor got 50,000 extra for their house and you were hoping to get 50,000 also, that's done. Your neighbor got you that 50,000. I have one question in here. Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring this one up. That same wall is kind of hitting these builders a little bit because a sign that you know something is wrong, a lot of builders here in Las Vegas stopped paying co-op. In other words, stop paying for the agent. A builder sent out an email last week that said they were paying 5% commission. It's just, it's ridiculous. So I don't know if they're trying to get ahead of something. My theory is some people have started canceling contracts because you have to understand how building works. Someone puts, because like over the last year or so, it's actually taken longer because of material shortages. So now it takes 6 to 8 months to build a new house. Well, what were the interest rates 6 months ago? Oh, yeah, under 3%. What are they now? So some people may not be able to afford that house now that they, did everything to and put all those upgrades in. And I mean, it came fast and furious because, like I was talking about, I think I talked about this, and I may do a video on it. There was a builder out in Atlanta that canceled everyone's contracts and said, "Hey, you guys need to pay more because that's what the market is dictating." So, a bellwether, I kind of don't like to mention names because you don't want them coming back after you or something. There is one big builder here in Las Vegas that has not been paying commissions. I want to see if they've added commissions back. The one that went to 5% was one that was still paying commissions. So I want to see what happens with that. But these bidding on the lot premiums, like you've been seeing, waiting list, I think those are over for now. For now. Uh, the supply, I mean, basic economics is supply and demand. Supply, even though we've have more houses on the market right now, well, normally we do have more houses on the market for the summer. But if you look at last summer, those were, of course, absorbed by people buying the houses. Now we're 300 behind. 300 houses came on the market more than people tried to buy. But what we're not seeing here is the number sold is pretty close to the number that was sold, you know, back before the wall was hit. The issue is now the demand cannot keep up with the supply, which will cause housing to continue to slide to the side. One of the things that, I've said this over and over again. It's one of those, it's not going to happen. Well, it started to happen in the last week. People are starting to get closing costs again. Closing costs, closing costs. It's starting to happen again. So if you're out there looking for a house and you can afford the interest rates, you may be able to get some closing costs now. So it's going to open up some things for a lot of folks who've been trying to save up for that, especially veterans. If you're looking at a VA loan or something, you can now walk into a house for nothing. So here we go. Let's go ask. I don't think they're going to come down, but I've been wrong purely because no one expected interest rates to go up like this and for the wall to get hit so fast. But with the interest rates coming down a little, we'll have to see. But right now, I don't see an adjustment right now. If interest rates pop back up, who knows what'll happen? But remember, I hate to sound like a used car salesman on this. When you go into a used car dealership or a car dealership, period, what do they tell you? Well, what payment are you comfortable with, right? You need to look at what payment you're comfortable with because a lot of people keep looking at the price of the house. Look at what interest rates have done to the price of that house. So some people who waited around, they now have to pay $800 more per month. That's a BMW. I mean, like a 5 Series. So you need to temper that with what the interest rates are. Great. If housing comes down and it drops, and you can get the house $10,000 cheaper, but you're paying 6% interest instead of 3, that's a Pyrrhic victory. In other words, you haven't won anything. You're paying more money. Unless you're paying cash, then you're okay. Okay, let's get on back here. Let's start looking at some numbers. So let's get into, I like to do this live. Since we're at the 29th and tomorrow is a holiday, so there are no like none of the banks, none of the title companies will be open tomorrow. We can pretty much say that we can look at what the market is right now. So let's go ahead and look into the market and see what's happening. So let's come on here. Let's see what has actually sold so far this month. And we'll just look at the broader market first. And I like to tamp this down to just Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Henderson. Okay, there we go. So, huh, so we had 3,276 sell this month so far, but nothing else is going to close, and a few will close on Tuesday. Let's look at the overall market, see what we get here. So, with the overall market, the average close price was 513,997. Now, what's interesting is even with this month, the average price was still greater than the average list price. So for the ones that closed this month, and this month only, people were still paying a little bit over. Same thing For the closed price was 450 and 440 was the median list. So let's go back and let's start breaking this down. Now let's just start with the what everyone wants to see. Houses 2513 have sold so far this month. Okay, with an average close price of 578, 615, which is still slightly above the list price. Median of 485, which is of course above the median list price. So a lot of that you have to consider that the vast majority of these houses went on the market. I mean, were snapped up a month ago, which means what's going to be closing next month is going to be a little bit different. Now we could, yeah, so it's going to be just a little bit off here until we get till everything catches up. So we have leading and lagging indicators. So these prices are a lagging indicator. Things like the interest rates are leading indicators. So let's go into the condominiums. 428 sold. And let's go take a look. Okay, we got an average of 262, which is above list. Median of 250, above list. And I find it really strange that they're always, for the median, is like this round number. I just don't get it. How is it always a round number? And let's look at the townhomes. Okay, townhomes, 368, 698 with a list price of 364, or so it's still a little bit above that. And 360, again, another round number with a average list of 350. So the average townhouse is selling, I'm sorry, median for about 10,000 over the list price a month ago. Let's make that very clear. A month ago. And let's get on back. Let's go ahead and see if we can do some comparisons against what was reported last month. Let's see here. Let's bring up that data. Okay, let me drag this over here. So the median price was 475 last month for single family. Let's go back to that. Let's see how it compares. I'll be honest, I know this is very boring. So 485. Now I think the average actually came down. So let's see here. 578 average was interesting. You notice this. The average is actually less than it was last month. Yet the median price is up. So what that tells me is there were probably fewer high-end sales and more sales below the median. Go back here. Let's look at the condos and townhomes since they seem to jumble those together. Okay. Oh, let's look at the number here. Let's see. That's about the same as last month. Well, a little bit less. 776 sold last month. 227 sold this month. Let's look at the results. roll. Median price was 285 compared to 275. So they've actually gone up another 10,000. And we look at the median, I'm sorry, average. The average was 297 last month, and it is 305. So the average went up along with the median by quite a bit. So the way I'm looking at it is the median and average went up for the townhomes and condos, but only the median went up for the homes because there was a probably more less multi-million dollar sales. So that drug everything down, and probably some of the lower end properties started to sell. So that did create an issue there, or not an issue. But overall, if you look at it, prices have gone up again, which is probably contributing to this wall. 'Cause who can really afford this? Fewer and fewer people, you're taking more and more of your income. If you're a seller, I'm telling you right now, you have hit peak market. Whatever you can get today is probably going to be what you're going to get for a while. For the buyer, this is actually good because if you've been tired of those multiple offers and competing and trying to bid over and paying out of pocket, that's pretty much over now. No, last staff meeting, one realtor was complaining about how all of a sudden none of her listings were being shown. Well, it really kind of goes into it. So we go back, we can see that stuff is still selling. So let's see here. See, in the last week, stuff is still selling. The reason there is a difference is because now, instead of having 5 and 6 offers on a house like people have gotten used to for almost a year, there are one or two, especially for the nice houses. You're really starting to see that come down. So if you're out there looking for a house, this is a good time. This is probably your top of your market if you're trying to sell. And if you've been holding off looking because you're afraid to be homeless, because you've sold your house, you have no place to move, we're kind of moving into that market now. A big factor I want to see is what the analytics guys say that our days on market are, because it's just a little bit harder doing those on the fly. But maybe I'll come up with a good way to do that on the fly for you guys. But right now, that's where the market stands. We're We'll have to see how things continue to go. If interest rates will stay the way they are, continue to go down a little bit, or if they pop back up because the Fed has said they're going to raise interest rates several more times this year, even though that does not affect mortgage interest rates. That's affected by something different. The 10-year bond yield, it could create a psychological thing that raises interest rates. And the Fed is raising interest rates because if you haven't heard, inflation is at all-time highs of 8.5% and may hit 10%. Uh, yeah, 10%. So be prepared to pay more for gas, which last time I drove by the gas station was more. Uh, this isn't good news for anyone except for someone on Social Security or any kind of government pension because they're going to get a big fat raise. That includes myself because I have a military pension. Uh, Yeah, it's gonna be a big fat raise again. It's probably gonna be the biggest raise ever, and that's where the market is. I'm gonna stand by. I know it's a holiday weekend. A lot of you guys want to get back to your barbecue, whatever else you're gonna do for the holiday. And I'll just start a Memorial Day little message here. Uh, this isn't just the start of summer. Uh, Memorial Day is about, of course, celebrating those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So at least keep that in mind while you're doing this. People always, will will thank me for my service during this time. But Memorial Memorial Day is about those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Veterans, we have our own holiday. It's called Veterans Day. So with that, uh, does anyone have any questions? While I'm doing that, I'm going to announce that I'm not sure if I can continue to. Why, thank you, Miss Blake. Yes, he is. Uh, doing this every week. I've done this uninterrupted for several months now, and uh, with the exception of when I was in Arizona 2 weeks ago. What I'm thinking about doing, I haven't made the decision yet. It's a good possibility. Is I'm going to start doing this twice a week. I mean, sorry, twice a month instead of every week, so I can use that extra time to put more into my regular videos. I want to put more production value in them and start delivering more stuff than that people may want. Because I'll be honest. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Blake. I'll be honest. I know that I can get preachy in some of my videos, and I do videos that people need to hear. Like months ago, there were guys who are telling people the market's about to fall any day, and a lot of people believe that. And now they got to pay $800 extra a month for a house. I want to keep people abreast of the market, but I need to deliver what people want, and people want tours. So I'm going to spend this time going out and doing those tours of new home builds. And like Demetrius was asking about what's going on with the new home builders, I want to get face to face with them and talk with them and see what's going on in the market, highlight different areas of the city. I'm not going to do that for everyone, but I need to add that in. And I want to make this more useful, kind of like bringing Joel in for a couple of these where he talked about some lender issues. We can't have lender issues all the time. I've already talked to some folks. I'm bringing in a property manager. So those of you who are looking to, let's say, buy some property to rent out, all the tricks and things that you need to know for that. Also, I'm trying to bring in someone who is an expert on Airbnb. For those of you who don't know, the Airbnb laws are changing here. It's going to be a lot easier to do Airbnb. So I don't know what that's going to do to the market. The last time there was a big push for Airbnb was when we started having all of these increases. And that's why some of the localities kind of outlawed Airbnb. One, because people can get noise in them, and two, it took up housing for people who are trying to buy houses so people can have their little mini hotels and everything. Well, with those laws changing, it may drive some more market or more business here. The guy I'm trying to bring on has like 36 Airbnbs, is making a fortune from it. And I want to bend his ear and talk about what he does, how he runs his Airbnbs. And I know for a fact the way he makes the majority of his money from Airbnb is not the everyday or every weekend stuff. It's from the World Series of Poker. So he rents all of his places out to the poker players during the World Series of Poker, and they pay through the teeth. So those of you who are interested, I got him, and I'm trying to line up some more people, make this more useful for folks. So I'm going to go ahead, let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Unless somebody ask a question. I know I have about 8, 9 people on here right now. I know I normally have a couple of more questions. I just want to make sure that they are answered and everyone leaves here with what they need. So I'm going to give it 2 more minutes and try to answer any questions that pop up in that 2 minutes. And another thing, if there's anything that you guys want for production, as far as like I had one live stream where a lady asked to do stuff on the Southwest because no one's doing stuff in the Southwest. That is going to be one of my targets as far as going down there, looking at the neighborhoods down there, what's going on. If you have any other issues or areas that you want covered, please let me know. Or if there is something that you want to be covered, I'll go ahead and cover those. And I have a question. Hey, Tony, condos, notice prices are going up. Prices of condos, I would say, were going up with this market wall that we've hit. So if you look here, look at all these price decreases. Uh, I don't think any realtor is going to let their client, if they're doing the right thing, let them overprice. This is a ridiculous number. And nationwide, like I said, last week, we had the highest number of price reductions ever, ever. People are getting the hint that they can't do that, and new ones coming to the market. You shouldn't see any more price increases. I, I don't want to bet the farm on it, but like I said, all this stuff we saw, this extra 10,000, everything went up this month. Those are houses where people bid on them last month, a month ago, or 2 months ago, even. Right now, things are different. So a month from now, when we look at this, I am pretty sure it's going to be a smaller increase than we've had because we've had what 10,000 a month for several months now. I would suspect it'll be completely flat or about $5,000. And the reason I say it's even going to go up $5,000 is because the wall was hit within the last week or two, which means offers that were made from the beginning of the month or the middle of the month will reflect the higher prices. And from the middle of the month till now will reflect the new reality. So a month from now, when everything closes out, I'm sure we're going to see either a very small increase, if no increase at all, but I do not anticipate a reduction. So, as far as my thoughts, I think condo prices, along with townhome prices especially, are stabilizing now, and I don't think they're going to go up anymore unless some kind of shoe drops. And one of the shoes I see dropping is we saw how interest rates went down a little bit this week. Let's pretend that interest rates go down even further because of a change in the 10-year bond. Um, I would think that would actually, I don't know, it's a mixed bag because of the way people are. Some when interest rates start going up, some people jumped into the market because they're like, "Oh my goodness, I want to lock in before something happens because I have a listing and one that I'm representing the buyer on where they closed early because they were trying to lock in certain rates. Although right now these rates may be lower, so some people may try to chase the rates and hope they go down some more. But I think others are realizing that this is just a reaction to the wall being hit because, like I said, within that 2 week period, uh, one major lender laid off half their staff, and I think I will not get in trouble for this one. Uh, Keller Williams, the company that's my brokerage, they have a mortgage arm that they started, and they just laid off a whole bunch of people. And Keller Mortgage was doing very well more than a month ago. As a matter of fact, the majority of people they laid off were people they just hired because they were on a hiring spree. So since it's my own company, I think I can say that. But the other company, which is way major, I mean, it's like a major lender, laid off half of their people because of the changes. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Anybody else need any feedback on anything? Want to make sure everyone questions answered, and then let you get back to your weekend because this has been a nice weekend. I'll be honest, I've spent more time recreating this weekend than I have in a long time, and it's all doing nerd stuff. And that's another thing I want to do when I pull back to just twice a month, if I do it, is I want to incorporate some of the nerd stuff that I've been doing into my videos. Uh, Here's an example. I just purchased this new 3D setup for my drone. Fortunately, it fits two of the drones that I have, and this thing is like a game changer. I don't think any other real estate agent has done anything like this in the country yet. Well, they couldn't have because the thing just came out. But it's a real game changer, and especially, the areas that it's easy to fly here in Vegas because a lot of Vegas is locked off. I'm gonna be able to go out and do some really funky stuff video wise. And some of the other stuff I have is, I have a new laser printer that I just got, and I got some new 3D, not laser printers, laser. So like, let's see if this is a good one. Like this is an example. I actually like cut this purely out of with the laser with some wood. It's like a little measuring thing to measure for cups. I finished making some tumblers and stuff and lasering some coasters, slate coasters I want to give out to clients and stuff. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'll probably use the laser to create some closing gifts for the closings I had over the last 2 weeks and the closings I have coming up next week. So I'll be incorporating some of that stuff, just showing my nerddom. Well, I think there's been enough time. I have bored you enough, and I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day and the rest of your weekend. I will see you. I'm not going to promise next week because I do want to pull back to give more time for this, but I think I do at least deserve to give you that next week no matter what. So for now, I plan to see you all next week. If you have any questions, please go ahead and bring them up uh, next week when we meet again. And most importantly, if there's anything that you're looking for, like questions that you've been wanting to ask that I can answer in a longer video, or I can go out and get those answers for you, please ask those questions. At least bring those to me. And the next, any of the guests, like I talked about the two guests that I at least have lined up so far. I think I've lined up three, but I got to go look at what I've lined up. Please ask those because if you're interested in rentals, or as a matter of fact, she could talk about the rental process if you're a renter, things like that, or do we want to go more into it as a landlord? Do we want to go into more Airbnb and how you can do that? I'm game. So just let me know and I'll get that information out to you. So with that, have a wonderful weekend and I will see you next week. I'm going to try.